I've always been suspicious. Here comes this little red furry Tickle Me Elmo. I've had my eyes on him for a long time. I'm just saying, he's pro-Hamas. He obviously believes that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. I believe that these tweets were the result of this night that Elmo had. Listen, I know how this plays out. I've seen it happen with lots of other celebrities. At some point within the next week, we are going to find out that Elmo is entering rehab. I've always been suspicious. I know a lot of people love him. He came on the scene after I was a kid. When I grew up, he didn't live on Sesame Street. Then suddenly one day, here comes this little red furry and he just becomes the star of the show. Nobody cares about Big Bird anymore. Nobody cares about Cookie Monster anymore. Nobody wants to talk about Grover. Nobody wants to talk about Oscar the Grouch. They all love Elmo. Yeah, that's right. Elmo. Tickle Me Elmo. Oh, Elmo loves you. And all of this stuff. And I've had my eyes on him. I've had my eyes on him for a long time. And now, finally, I'm validated. Because take a look at this. Look at what he's been posting on X, Ron. This is from the official Elmo account. Now, he's claiming that he was hacked, Ron. He's claiming, that's what always happens. When somebody goes on some X bender, they claim afterwards that their account was hacked. We've had
do it in his voice. Do it in his voice, please.
Just to have it. Elmo says Trump is Netanyahu's puppet. Look, he's in the Epstein file. Release the files. Child. And he was going on to say some very nasty things about Israel. No. Yeah. So look, I'm just saying he's pro-Hamas, and he's obviously he obviously believes that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list and that is being suppressed. And he claims that he was there he is, by the way. So bad. But I believe that these tweets were the result of this night that Elmo had, of which we have obtained footage, Ron. Here, look at this.
Diddy party? Is that a Diddy party?
That looks a lot like it's a Diddy. He's got a gun in his mouth, Ron, for God's sake.
Look at the rabbit. Look at what he's doing to the rabbit.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Oh my God.
Where did we find this? What is even
going on? Rehab. We're going to find out. Listen, I know how this plays out. I've seen it happen with lots of other celebrities. At some point within the next week, we are going to find out that Elmo is entering rehab. That's what always happens.
What's the golf guy? He was drunk. He was sorry.
Yeah, and I want to play a clip here by Ricky Gervais, because as somebody who deals in comedy on a regular basis on X at Super 70 Sports, as somebody who deals in comedy here and has been talking about who you fucked and all of that stuff in college, you always, in the back of your mind, you have to think about, well, where is too far? Where is just far enough, but not too far? And who decides that? And I want to go to one of the greatest, I would say one of the 5 greatest living comedians, Ricky Gervais, and get his thoughts on this. Let's take a listen.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? I want people to stop saying that joke's offensive. Yeah. I want them to start saying I found it offensive, because that's all it is. You're just telling me how you feel about it. Yeah. There's nothing intrinsically offensive about this joke. It's trying to make I'm offended sound important. Yeah. It's no different to saying I've got a pain in my leg. Yeah. Right? I believe you. Yeah. But there's nothing to do with me. Yeah, but you shouldn't hurt people's feelings. Well, you can if their feelings are wrong. Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you don't like the facts, don't change the facts, change the feelings. Yeah. So you don't have to pave the jungle. Yeah. You can just grow a pair
and that applies beyond comedy. That applies to free speech, period. And it is the reason that I ultimately went the direction that I went with the 2024 election is we had, Tim Walz out there saying that there's no right to saying hateful things, that there's no right to saying things that aren't true. Well, I said on this show many times, who decides what is hateful? There's some things that we could all agree on as being hateful, probably, or 100% of people aren't going to agree on anything. But there are some things that 90+% of us would agree are hateful. And then there's a lot of other things that there are people out there in the world, they would have you believe that it's hateful, but a lot of us disagree with that and don't think that that's true. And if free speech comes down to somebody else's opinion of what is hateful based on whatever, I don't want Tim Walz or people like him or anybody else for that matter, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, you name it. This hasn't been an issue with them, but I don't care who you are. Republican, Democrat, Independent, whoever the fuck you are, I don't want my free speech to be incumbent upon your delicate sensibilities. Whatever they are. I want to have the right to say whatever the fuck that I want to say. If I want to say that Ronnie T-Shirts put his little dick in somebody at the Ohio State University back in the mid-'80s and produced a teardrop of ejaculate, then by God, I'm going to say it. You might be offended by it. But again, as Ricky Gervais said, that's a you problem.
We are living in what I like to think are the dumbest times. Not the worst times. Yes. It's just the dumbest times. And I have two examples for this. So the iconic movie Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, Ricky, they are now putting a disclaimer before the movie. We love all of our 90s buddy comedies, but this movie was created in a different time. For your information, certain depictions, language, and humor may seem outdated and at times offensive. What the fuck, Ricky?
Did Tim Walz write that? See, the people that Ricky Gervais was talking about think like this. What kind of a warning is Bad News Bears going to get?
I literally was going to ask you, Ricky, what do you think the warning for Bad News Bears would say?
They'll just stop showing it. Like if the free speech sensitivity overlords get their way, we'll just lose things like that because it'll be considered too offensive for people to even consume. Go fuck yourself. This gets me like nothing else. Go fuck yourself. Whoever wrote that, whoever decided that had to go on there, honest to God, you must be a lot of fun at parties. Go fuck yourself. This gets me worse than anything. Do not fuck with my right to be able to say what I want, how I want it, as long as I am not directly threatening someone else, as long as I'm not putting people in immediate physical danger with my words or leading to a situation that is obviously physically dangerous. People should be allowed to say whatever that they want to say. And nobody's going to make you fucking watch Rush Hour. Okay? Believe me, nobody is ever going to twist your arm and drag you to watch Rush Hour. But we don't need to put trigger warnings on fucking 1990s buddy comedies with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. How fucking stupid is this? I'm sorry.
So
it just kills me.
So you showed the video of Ricky Gervais earlier, and when I saw in the rundown that it was going to be on, I actually picked up a quote that I had actually saved that I was going to show you at one time, and I'll just tell you right now. This is a great quote from Ricky Gervais, and it's perfect for right now. He said, "You find it offensive? I found it funny. That's why I'm happier than you." Couldn't have said it better. He couldn't have said it better.
Could you imagine how miserable must your existence be if you are so upset by fucking Rush Hour that you're just I can't. Did you hear what Chris Tucker said? Did you hear what Chris Tucker said? Just go jump in a lake. Would you? Because you're fucking awful. It just, please, honest to God, we have become the most weak-minded, sad, pathetic, just idiot culture. It's unbelievable, and I can't do it.
Nope.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Like I said, not the worst time. It's the dumbest time. It's just we are living in the dumbest time in American history.
People don't know what a woman is. What's a woman? A woman is anybody who feels like they are a woman. Well, you still haven't answered the fucking question. What is a woman?
Here's an example too, Ricky.
I can't do it. See, people wonder. People are like, "Oh, Ricky, you changed." No, I didn't change. I didn't change. Society changed around me, and I just looked around and said, what the fuck are we doing here? Is what happened. Honest to God, I don't go out of my way to offend people. I try not to. Be kind. Honestly, I believe in trying to be kind. Treat people with respect. But my God, please just don't be a whiny pussy about everything and then expect the rest of society to bend to your overly sensitive standards. Because that's what so many of these people want. And then we've got cowards at the fucking, production company or whoever distributes this fucking thing who are just enabling it. Because they're afraid that somebody's going to be offended and it's going to be blamed on them. Hey, listen, if you can't handle rush hour, like honest to God, the rest of society is going to be too much for you. If you can't navigate Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, what the fuck are you going to do with the rest of your life? Everything else in life is going to feel like a 120 mile an hour fastball bearing down on you if you can't watch fucking Rush Hour without being so offended that somebody has to put a trigger warning on it. Donald Trump, he's had an interesting week, hasn't he? You ever hear of Epstein Island? Well, it's been in the news. Look it up. Rosie O'Donnell, he's going to take away her citizenship. Suddenly Epstein Island is no big deal. We should just all move on and focus on things that are important like Rosie O'Donnell. And the FIFA Club World Cup, which took place in New Jersey. Donald Trump joining Chelsea, the winners, on the podium as they accepted the championship here. And there you see Donald Trump, and look at this. There they are. He stayed out there and he celebrated with them like he was a member of the goddamn team. And it has gone viral. The team is waiting for him to leave. He was supposed to present them with the championship and then graciously exit the stage. And then Chelsea was going to celebrate their championship. But Donald Trump likes winning so much that if he is in the vicinity of winning, he's just going to stand right there and bask in the moment and in the glory. And so he did. They tried to get him to leave the stage twice, but he wasn't having it. He was right there with Chelsea all the way. He's been there since the beginning. He's probably responsible for the construction of their roster, at least if you hear him tell it. So next year, the World Cup is happening. Same stadium, a little preview, and I got a feeling that whoever wins the World Cup next year, there's a pretty good chance that Donald Trump will go up there and stand on the stage and he won't fucking leave then either. So good for Chelsea. My congratulations on this Monday morning to Chelsea and to Donald Trump for winning the FIFA Club World Cup. A great feather in both of their caps. Speaking of winning, Chris Gotterup, a relatively anonymous American PGA golfer, 25 years old, takes home the Scottish Open, staring down Rory McIlroy the week before the Open Championship. And this is a kid that not a lot of people have heard of. I always love it in golf when you see somebody pop up and they succeed, because golf is such a cruel, difficult, terrible, beautiful game. It's all of these things. And we talk about Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy and John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, but occasionally you get a J.J. Spahn at Oakmont last month. And occasionally you get stories like Chris Gotterup, who held on to win the Scottish Open and spoke about it after the event, getting a little bit emotional, reflecting on his win.
Give me a sec. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it out, but everyone at home, I don't know, but I mean, it's just awesome. I'm not going to be able to keep it together.
You don't. That looks a lot like the reaction that I have after shooting a 56 on the front nine, except for the part where he said it was awesome. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. I'm hungry. I've got blisters on my hands. I've made 2 8s and a 7. I just want a hot dog and a Diet Coke right now, and I think I want to go home. I don't even think I want to play the back nine. So I can relate to it to that extent, but this is a guy who did have one PGA Tour victory, but it was an alternate field event. He won the 2024 Myrtle Beach Classic, which was held the same week as the Wells Fargo Championship. Some of these signature events on the PGA Tour, they have kind of a B-team event that takes place the same week. He won one of those. Have you ever heard of the Barracuda Championship? Yeah, it's kind of like a glorified Corn Ferry Tour win. So he got a big boy win at the Scottish Open, and good for him. Speaking of big boy wins, Jannik Sinner is the Wimbledon champion this year, taking down Carlos Alcaraz in 4 sets at Wimbledon. On the heels of one of the greatest matches that a lot of people think has ever been played, their final at the French Open at Roland Garros. A match that went 5 sets, Alcaraz coming back from triple match point down against Sinner to take it from him. And so Sinner with an opportunity at Wimbledon to get some retribution after letting that one slip through his fingers. And he does just that, beating Alcaraz in 4. And look, we've gone through the Federer, Nadal, Djokovic era, which is unparalleled. You're talking about 3 guys who between them have, I believe, 66 major championships. I'm pretty sure that is the fact. Think about that. 66 major champions. That is 16 and a half years of championships that were all won by one of those 3 guys. They're the 3 greatest of all time, and they played in the same era with each other. It all overlapped. I thought that we were blessed when I was a kid, when we had Connors and McIlroy and Lindell and Becker and Edberg and all of those guys. Agassi, Sampras, on down the line, the great players. Mats Wilander. Anybody remember him? I'll throw a Guillermo Vilas in there for you as well. There were a lot of guys. It's a tremendously competitive era. And the thing that sets it apart from the era that we live in is American men's tennis used to thrive. There were legitimately great American men's tennis players, and that seemed to be, to me, for most of my life, completely normal. Of course, there are great American men in tennis. Of course there are. There always have been. There always will be. Not so fast. Because there has not been a single American male who has won a Grand Slam tennis event since 2003 when Andy Roddick won the U.S. Open. No American man has won a Grand Slam event for 22 years. What the fuck happened to us? And people got into the comments here. You can see the tweet that I put out on Super 70s yesterday. People got in the comments and they said, well, Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer happened. Well, they're gone now. Federer and Nadal are gone. Djokovic is 38 years old. He's on his last legs. He probably will never win a major again, although he's great enough that I will hold out the possibility that maybe he's got one more bullet in the chamber. But where are the American men now? Here's your opportunity. Those guys are gone, and right now it looks like Sinner and Alcaraz are the guys. They've won 8 of the last 9 between the two of them. So now it's being ping-pong back and forth between the Italian and the Spaniard. And once again, there's no American at the table. Ben Shelton did play very well. Tim is in my ear saying good showing from Ben Shelton. Taylor Fritz is our other best player. So Taylor Fritz and Ben Shelton, Godspeed, my friends. Maybe one of you can bring home the first major won by an American man since Andy Roddick at the U.S. Open this year. We got one more major on the agenda. Maybe we should stick to women's basketball. It seems that we do that well. Caitlin Clark is back in action again, and the Indiana Fever stomp the Dallas Wings, blowing them right out of the building. Caitlin Clark, 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals in the game. And again, what I look at here, and look, I don't want to be Nelly negative when it comes to Caitlin Clark. I am certainly a huge Caitlin Clark fan. I think if you watch this program, you know that. But 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 7 from three-point range. Look, I don't want to nitpick her, okay? She is being double-teamed all the time. As we have seen, she's getting accosted a lot, and she doesn't get as many whistles as she should. All of that is true, but she's still shooting right around 30% from three-point range. And that is just not up to the standards that she set at Iowa and that we've come to expect from her. I don't know what the problem is with her shooting. She has been hurt this year. She's only played in half of the Fever's games so far, but every box score, when I look at a Fever game, the first thing I look at is Caitlin Clark's shooting. How did she shoot from three-point range, and is she putting the ball in the bucket? Obviously, the assists are there, the leadership is there, the scoring is going to come. But right now, Caitlin Clark is not playing quite up to the level of her celebrity. And that's probably impossible, as big as her celebrity has gotten. But I would say, if you follow plus minus, we referred to plus minus numbers on Friday when we said that LeBron James was the only guy to make first team, second team, or third team All-NBA who had a negative plus minus, meaning that more points were scored by the other team when he was on the court than were scored by the Lakers. Right? Caitlin Clark in this blowout over the Dallas Wings, a game that they won by over 20 points, she had a +9 plus minus. Aaliyah Boston +31, Kelsey Mitchell +30. The other two Indiana Fever All-Stars that we're going to see in Indianapolis this coming weekend at the WNBA All-Star Game. So Caitlin is not in vintage form yet this year, but I'm confident that she's going to get there probably sooner rather than later. You know, I said that Chris Gotterup won an alternate PGA event, sort of a B-level event. Sometimes when I look at the A-team, and let's get a look at the A-team here if we can. Look at these sweet bastards. Sometimes I wonder if there was also a B team and how fucked up they must have been. This was the best they could do. This was the foremost elite that they could round up. Who was on the B team? Who was on the bench for BA? And how much do you think Mr. T's chains were? Tim says MacGyver. How much do you think those chains weighed? In fact, I'm going to bring in my special Ricky Cobb Show gold medallion correspondent. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-shirts. Ronnie, back in Columbus in the day when you were blocking Mike Tomczak shots and fucking chicks to When Doves Cry pretty much every other day, how many gold medallions were you wearing and how much did they weigh?
I do think I wore a gold chain. I never was a medallion guy. I'm a little too young for medallions. Medallions are more of a 70s thing. I actually could see you with a medallion now. If you didn't have that t-shirt on, but had your shirt at the same level, just a nice medallion right there.
Now that I'm a Kentucky Colonel,
oh,
maybe I can get like a big medallion, you know.
Have you thrown that around yet? Like at a restaurant, like there's a wait for, too long of a wait at a restaurant. You're like, I'm sorry, but did you know I'm a Kentucky Colonel?
I say, the service is rather meandering, boy. Could we? I would like my Diet Coke topped off, young lady. Yeah, I don't know. I'm certainly willing to try, Ron. I'm certainly willing to try. I will tell you that. Are you aware, Ronnie, that you had a UFC event in Nashville this weekend? The UFC came to your backyard. Not like UFC 300 and whatever, but like one of their,
I was downtown. I was downtown Friday night, and I wasn't even aware of it.
Yeah, well, it was a thing, and Derek Lewis, who has more knockouts than anybody in UFC history, he's a heavyweight. He was asked after scoring another knockout in Nashville, in your town. He came in there and he was turning out lights like you on the streets of Columbus when approached by a 5'4" man who was getting a little bit froggy. He had this to say about what his next match was going to be.
I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I want my wife next. It's going to be a lot of ground and pounding. Ground and pounding. She know what it is. Fine ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the beast, Derek Lewis.
He wants his wife next, and there's going to be a lot of ground and pound. Ron,
you think he's just being honest?
He's just being honest. You know, they always said, and I don't know how many boxers hold truth to this, but
rubber legs.
They always say that's right. It's going to go to your legs if you get down like that. But from what I've heard, Muhammad Ali did not subscribe to that theory. So, but anyway, I will say this. It takes great legs, Ron, to win 122 straight races, which is what this man did. Do you remember this guy, Ronnie?
Of course.
One of the great legends of USA track and field, the greatest hurdler of all time. Remember when Edwin Moses was a sweet hurdling bastard? Motherfucker won 122 races in a row. 122 in a row.
That's insane.
That is not a misprint.
Yeah, that's
Jumping
insane.
over shit while looking like a founding member of Earth, Wind, and Fire. We were witnesses. Do you remember that time that I jumped over hurdles? Beat everybody's asses for 11 straight years. Okay. Anyway. 11 years this guy was undefeated. And he didn't lose a race for 11 years.
And he was a 400 guy, right? He wasn't the 110. He was a 400 or the 440 or whatever they do. Like, it was long. So you just feel like 122, man, that's crazy.
They said that other guys, like what was believed to happen was you did 14 steps between hurdles. That was the generally accepted. He found a way to do 13 steps between hurdles. I think he had like an engineering degree or something. Like he was like a very, very bright guy, and he got his technique to a level that nobody else could match. He won the gold in 76. 1980, remember, we boycotted because it was in Moscow. Right. Carter, kept us out of it. Then in 84 at LA, he wins the gold again. So the guy would have had 3 straight gold medals if not for the boycott in 1980. He's one of the greatest athletes in the history of this country, and one that sometimes people don't mention. So, and why wouldn't you want to mention him? 122 wins in a row, and he looked like that? This motherfucker should have been a superstar. He should have been on the fucking Wheaties box, Ron. It's what I have to say. I wouldn't mind seeing a picture of this on a Wheaties box or anywhere else, Ron. I don't know if you know anything about the Lumineers. I fucking don't. They're a band. I know that. I've heard of them. Mr. Met is apparently a fan, and he got on stage with them, and it didn't go well. Take a look at this. They throw him the tambourine, And Mr. Met, whoops, down goes Frazier. And there he is. I'm okay. He's back up. He's tweeted about it since, Ron, but let's get another look at it. There comes the tambourine. That was a bad toss. He short-armed that.
Terrible toss.
Yeah, he short-armed that. It looked like a Justin Fields pass, Ronnie. And then Mr. Met just walking right off of the fucking stage.
I think the Met head screws up your peripheral vision. So that's probably what was going down there.
Well, look, he says, "Don't worry, I don't Ophelia too bad. I don't Ophelia too bad." Which Ophelia is apparently a Lumineers song. So Mr. Met is, Mr. Met. That might be a bigger error. That tweet might be a bigger error than falling off the stage, Ron. Speaking of errors, how about our friend golf guy who fucked around and found out as he got thrown around like a bag of shit by Nick Tarnasky, the former NHL enforcer. Someone has made an oil painting of this, Ron. There you go. Nick Tarnasky, oil on canvas. There he goes. Now, I will say this. Look, we have all bagged on the guy, and deservedly so. He was being a prick on the golf course. He was drunk. He was, obviously belligerent. He stepped up on somebody he shouldn't have stepped up on, and he got tossed around like a rag doll. He has, however, issued an apology. And I'm always a fan of people taking accountability for things if they really mean it. I'm like you, Ron. If it's a bullshit apology and you know that they're just saying it to cover their ass or for PR reasons,
right?
I'm not a fan of that at all. Don't do that. That makes it worse. But if you really mean it, I'm a forgiving sort of person. So let's take a look here. Golf guy apologizes for being an asshole.
Record. It's around the golf. I got it on. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Yep, that's me, guys. The guy that got dropped like a bucket of balls in a pond. Not my finest moment, I know. Looks real bad. Played 36 holes of golf. We drank way too much, and my mouth ran faster than my brain. All jokes aside, guys, I'd like to apologize to all the folks on the course, anyone caught up in it, and anyone who had to deal with me that day. I lost my cool, and I've learned from it. Just one of those days where you should have kept the cart on the path, Stay hydrated, keep your stick on the ice, maybe stick to 18.
Fair play as far as I'm concerned, I mean,
the Canadian accent helps. The Canadian accent helps me accept the apology a little bit better there too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Somebody said that's the most Canadian thing ever, apologizing for getting your ass kicked.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I made you throw me around like that. I just got a little carried. I got a little carried away. But Nick Tarnasky certainly had an opportunity to show that he's still got it.